Hello, welcome to the Witness History podcast from the BBC World Service with me, Johnny Ianson. We're going back to Europe in 1997. A fragile peace was holding after the brutal Bosnian War ended in December 1995. But rival political factions threatened instability, and the West looked to a South American soap opera to avoid any more bloodshed.
I've never heard of a television program being so popular that it actually helped to contribute to peace. That's what it did. It actually contributed to the peace in the region.
The story starts in the early 1990s. The telenovela craze was sweeping the world. These melodramatic Latin American soap operas, with their overblown stories of love, heartbreak and rags-to-riches success, were a global phenomenon. Tony Paez was the executive vice president of distribution agency Coral Pictures in Caracas and Miami.
All of the novellas of that time were very popular. And in fact, I opened several markets. I opened the Chinese market, the Russian market. The novellas were very popular. For example, in Israel, they were subtitled in Russian and in Hebrew. We were popular all over the world.
And in 1992, a new show was being recorded. One which would become the most successful Venezuelan soap opera of all time. Written by the woman known as the mother of the telenovela Delia Fiallo from Cuba. She saw teenage actor Caraima Torres and knew she'd be perfect for the title character in her new show, Kassandra.
At that time, I didn't have the feeling my life was going to change. I was 17 years old. In fact, I traveled with my sister to meet the writer because I was a minor. It was a big challenge. I wanted to prove myself. When she told me the part was mine, there was a sense of fear and of possibility.
Kassandra is the granddaughter of a wealthy man who was secretly switched at birth and raised in a travelling circus. People were hooked. It was sold to the United States, Romania, Greece, Italy, Russia, the Middle East, South Asia and East Asia, and crucially, parts of the former Yugoslavia.
Créeme, Kassandra.
Thousands of refugees forced out of the safe area of Srebrenica have begun arriving in Bosnia.
The Yugoslav wars began in 1990, leading to its breakup and the creation of several countries, including Bosnia-Herzegovina. In Bosnia, peace was established in 1995, but it was delicate. Kassandra became a popular escape from the horrors of war.
Regardless of what people were experiencing, they could at least disconnect from the harsh, cruel and bloody reality of what they were living in order to immerse themselves in this love story of Kassandra. People could take a break from the conflict, those painful, bloody, really sad and devastating moments. It was to feel that for an hour they could move away and disconnect from what they were experiencing.
It was a very tumultuous time. And this novela actually, I came to find out, would paralyze that whole area. People would stop fighting and go home and watch this novela. Everything came to peace for the rest of the night based on that novela. So it was really something.
But it's difficult to keep up with your favourite soap opera in a conflict zone. And fans went to great lengths to find out what was happening.
You know, they became so popular that in certain countries that had either seen a few episodes or the trailers or something like that, they would travel to see episodes in other places or just to see or to hear the stories. And we did hear that groups of people would travel to the borders of countries where we had licensed the product just to hear or find out what the story was or to be able to sneak in there and watch a few episodes.
But in late summer of 1997, political instability would pull the plug on Bosnia's escapism. Supporters of Washington-backed President Biljana Plavšić took over the television station in the city of Banja Luka and turned it off. When the station came back on, there was no Kassandra. People were angry. And the US State Department worried that the loss of Kassandra could hurt Plavšic's popularity and even undermine her government. Cue an unexpected phone call to Tony.
The secretary said, "You have a call from the U.S. State Department." I said, "Excuse me?" Yeah. I said, "Okay, well, I'll put him through." And I started talking to this guy, and he said, "Listen, I can't even tell you my name at this point. We have this television station and this program that you're selling to this area that we really want to keep on the air because it was taken off the air and the war has escalated because of it. So we need your help to get it back on the air." I called the station. After several tries, I managed to get him to talk to the manager. He said, "Yeah, we really want that novela back. See how you can help us." And I said, "Sure, let me look up the records." And I looked up the records, and we never sold it to that station.
Tony called the station in Bosnia. It turned out they'd been borrowing the show from elsewhere.
I said, "Well, we have a friend in Belgrade, I think it was, that is sneaking the episodes over to us because we can't afford to buy it." I called the guy back up at the State Department. I said, "Listen, I'd be glad to help, but these guys have no money to buy the program. So I don't know if the State Department wants to pay for it." And he says, "No, we can't be seen to participate in any way in this whole thing." I said, "Well, if it's that important to them, we'll donate it." We ended up donating it, and it was a huge, absolute success there. Everything kind of calmed down. It was a fun time to be a part of the tremendous power that the novelas had worldwide.
Thankfully, the statecraft worked. Kassandra was back on the air, and eventually the region was calm enough for Koraima and her co-stars to travel there. And when they arrived, they were treated like rock stars.
It's hard to compare it, but it was like when the Beatles arrived in town, everybody would go crazy, and they would actually faint in these exhibitions, and they would scream, and there's a whole group of babies, from that time. They were all called Kassandra, and it went on for many years.
Buenas noches. Gracias.
That's a confused-looking Koraima addressing thousands of fans in the Macedonian National Football Stadium. Broadcast on Bosnian TV, she came on stage in a convertible car, backed by music and fireworks.
I said to my agent, "They are inviting us? What am I going to do? I am not a singer." People were everywhere, of all generations. All those people together, all on the streets. There was so much excitement, noise and music. It was a joyful moment. The fireworks, people screaming, the balloons, and me receiving all that love. It was a unique moment for me.
Peace in Bosnia held, just, and NATO peacekeepers withdrew in 2004.
They just fell in love with the story, and I think it brought them peace, and it was a sense of normalcy, I think. The rag to riches story is always a story that grabs people. And to see a person like Koraima that had a lot of hardship in her initial years, and she was treated very badly and rose and became a queen, it's beautiful because it gives people hope. I think it's a way of giving people hope. I feel blessed to have been able to help a little bit, and I feel if we were able to contribute just by saving some lives, and we were happy to be able to do that.
Tony Paez now runs a construction company in America, and Koraima Torres went on to star in multiple telenovelas. They were speaking to me, Johnny Ianson, for the Witness History podcast from the BBC World Service. If you've enjoyed listening, why not leave us a review, and please share it with anyone you think would like to hear it. It really helps us let people know about the amazing stories people tell us on Witness History.
From the brilliant and bizarre.
It was really surreal. It was a surreal kind of atmosphere there. You couldn't really see anybody.
To the shocking and unexpected.
I'm just wondering, what are we going to do now? This was really my worst fear. He found 100% horse meat that was labelled as beef.
Witness the stories that have shaped our world. Told by the people who were there.
When he went to the factory, the poodle went in front of him, so the workers only knew, oh, the boss is here.
Many people had many things to lose by our victory. The future was not so bright.
Witness History.
We had a designer. He brought in a fully storyboarded idea about how the Queen would arrive by jumping out of a helicopter. And we all said, that's brilliant, but it's never going to happen.
Witness History at bbcworldservice.com/witnesshistory or wherever you get your podcasts.